If Newcastle United does not win silverware this season, it will be 70 years since our last. 70 years since Newcastle United has last won a domestic trophy. I mean, that is insane. That is lifetimes. Now, my dad, my mum, I'm glad to say they're both retired. They both enjoyed their life. They both enjoyed being at work, and they're happily retired now. And not a single one of them have seen Newcastle United win a trophy in their lifetime. And how many hours are watching this video now that are 40, 50, 60, hell, even going up to 70, that have never ever seen Newcastle United win a trophy? And it's unfortunate, and we've seen over the last couple of years, especially since lockdown's been lifted up. Life's short. We all know life's short. It's the sad reality, but for a lot of people, they might never see Newcastle win something in their lifetime. We've got a real opportunity this season. I personally feel like without European football, now funny enough, the last cup final that took place at Wembley, of course, Manchester United won, and as a result, Newcastle missed out on European football, and that might be a bit of a blessing in disguise when it comes to domestic trophies for Newcastle, because this season our focus is solely on the Premier League and also on the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. So for Newcastle, it's a real opportunity this season for Eddie Howe and for his players to put their name in the history books. And I feel like for Eddie Howe, in terms of his managerial career, and for these Newcastle United players in terms of their professional playing career, your first trophy is always your hardest one. I feel like once they win one trophy, they've got such a good opportunity of winning more. And it all starts tomorrow at the Emirates as we take on Arsenal in the first leg. Now, the first leg for me is huge. I think it heavily dictates the way the second leg will be played. And of course, in the second leg, we know whoever walks out of that match victorious will be going to Wembley, and it will be decided in Newcastle. So for us as Newcastle fans, it's either going to be the best feeling in the world here in KSO after the game, of course celebrating in front of the Arsenal players, in front of the Arsenal fans, or it will be the worst feeling in the world where Arsenal are going to be celebrating in our stadium, at our venue, under the lights. Now, the second leg for Newcastle is very advantageous towards us, but it begins tomorrow at the Emirates. Now, I'm going to make this clear straight away. If Arsenal win by more than 2 goals tomorrow, so they win 2 or more goals tomorrow, they will not play any football at St James's Park. They'll walk in the second leg, they'll park the bus for minute 1, they'll sit back and they won't feel any pressure as long as Newcastle don't score early on. Arsenal will have no reason to play at St James's Park, and you have to look at it in Mikel Arteta's point of view and the players' point of view, because 3 of their last 4 games at St James's Park, Arsenal have lost. So statistically, you probably would expect Newcastle to win the second leg. Not to mention, again, when you look at Arsenal's fixtures, they've got Manchester City a couple of days beforehand. They've got their last Champions League game a week before that. They've got some huge games before Newcastle, and you've already seen with their injuries this season. Bukayo Saka's going to miss both legs. Arsenal are a bit depleted in terms of options, and Newcastle, especially in that second leg, can really get one over them. And I feel like in the second leg, Newcastle can put a lot of pressure on them. The fans will be up for the game, and Arsenal, we've seen it in recent years, they can't play at St James's Park. But on the flip side, look how bad Newcastle's record is at the Emirates. Now, this season, I will say straight away, at a positive point of view for Newcastle, you've got to look at our head-to-head record against the Big Six. Arsenal won, Man City drew, Liverpool drew, Tottenham won, Chelsea lost in the league, Chelsea won the cup. I mean, you've got to look at that. You've got to really be pleased with Newcastle this season against the Big Six. But for Newcastle going into the first leg tomorrow, our record is honking at the Emirates. We haven't won there since 2010. Andy Carroll was the winning goal scorer in our last match at the Emirates, and we've actually won. That's just crazy when you think about it. But for Newcastle going into the game tomorrow, they can play with no fear. I don't think we have anything to fear about in the game tomorrow. Last few games has been amazing for us. Our form's on top of the world at the minute, and I feel like we are going down to the Emirates in our, I wouldn't quite say our best possible shape, because of course Shaw and Bruno are both suspended for the game due to their yellow cards in the previous cup round, but Newcastle still have a strong squad. Arsenal are still picking up results at the minute, but they haven't scored too many goals. Not to mention that, again, the recent teams that they played, they're not amazing teams, to be honest. So again, for them, it's going to be a massive test for them, but Arsenal will look to kill the leg in the first leg. Arsenal are going to go guns blazing tomorrow. They will throw everything at the kitchen sink, I feel like is the correct saying for it. Arsenal are going to throw everything at Newcastle from minute 1, and we need to come out of the game. Now, I don't want to lose the game, but losing by 1, we can deal with that. Going out to St James's Park, First leg, if you lose by 1, that's not that bad. Of course, a draw or win would be amazing for Newcastle, but it's just as long as we don't lose by 2 or more goals, Newcastle will be fine going into the game at St James's Park. Again, I must emphasise the fact that if Newcastle was to lose in quite a convincing manner tomorrow, Arsenal will just park the bus at St James's Park, and with their defence, one of the best defences in world football, they will just suss Newcastle out of that second leg, and we will have a very, very hard mountain to climb. But for me, this is what it's all about. That behind me, and I felt like it would be an appropriate place to record this video today at Wembley, because I've had the pleasure and I've had the honour of being here 2 years ago, just seeing tens of thousands of Newcastle fans walk across the street. It was art. I mean, it's the stuff that you live for as a football fan. It really, really is. And we need to see this happen again this season. I feel like this is the aim for Newcastle, to get back at Wembley, either after these 2 legs against Arsenal or in the FA Cup. Just get back to Wembley, and we need to try and break that duck this season. I mean, even in my lifetime, I'm 24 years old. In my lifetime, I've seen Middlesbrough has won a trophy, Portsmouth has won a trophy, Birmingham City has won silverware, Swansea City has won silverware, Wigan Athletic has won silverware, of course Leicester City, the famous Premier League win, and have also won the FA Cup here in my lifetime. That's just the last 24 years, and the point of that being is not for me to look down on these teams and not for me to slag these teams off. But you've got to look at where Newcastle is as a football club now. We are owned by a public investment fund. Our fan base is absolutely massive. Newcastle statistically has the 9th wealthiest football club in the world. We actually have the 7th most expensive squad in English football, 9th in the world, I just said. So for us, we've got to show that. We've got to show that in these sort of occasions, and it's a real opportunity this season for Newcastle to finally end that 70-year curse. I can't quite believe I'm saying that. It's just mad when you think about it. And again, as I just said earlier in the video, once you win 1, I think Newcastle will win more, and it's just almost this mentality thing that we've got to turn up on the big stage. Now, if Newcastle was to get past Arsenal, of course it would be Liverpool or Tottenham in the final. Now, Tottenham, we've already seen this season, Newcastle done a double over them. We won 5 of our last 6 games against Tottenham, so if it was to be them, I would be very confident against them. And as for Liverpool, to be honest, when they look at the Carabao Cup, they don't look at this cup too much, and it's understandable, because you look at them, they're going to win the Premier League, they've got a real opportunity to win the Champions League, they'll probably go for the FA Cup as well. The Carabao Cup is the trophy where Liverpool they won't treat the game with respect, but they won't be fully invested in the Carabao Cup final if Liverpool was to go through. Newcastle will be well up for it if we were to get past Arsenal, and it's a real opportunity where I think we can do it. We should have been in the final last year. We bottled it against Chelsea. We would have had Middlesbrough in the semi-final over 2 legs. I would have banked us every single day of the week to do Middlesbrough over 2 legs, and we would have had Liverpool in the final, where at the time they had a heavily depleted squad. Newcastle, to be fair, as well, also had a heavily depleted squad, but it would have been a roll of the dice on the day. Newcastle could have done it last season, and we should have been in the final last season, but because of our own mistakes, we weren't able to do that. And we've got a chance this season to rectify that, and we've got a chance this season to finally get it over the line. Arsenal will be tricky tomorrow, and I would argue the first leg tomorrow will be harder than the second leg. So it's important for us to go to the match tomorrow. We have to be ready from minute 1 to 90. We cannot let Arsenal gain confidence in the game, because if they gain confidence, they will pick Newcastle apart. They're a team with a lot of quality in their team, especially like Gabriel Jesus. He is in good form at the minute, so Newcastle just need to be able to ride the storm and just get out of the first leg with a half decent result. It doesn't matter necessarily about how we play tomorrow, but it's just that result. We need a good result tomorrow. Even if we lose by 1, we can work for that. Anything worse than that, and we are in trouble. We've got 6,000 Newcastle fans now away on tomorrow. War flags, got all the scarves there. It's going to be an immense atmosphere, and it's going to be a real opportunity for us to finally get a half decent result at the Emirates. But we've got a chance to do it tomorrow, and we need to go out looking good. But second leg at St James's Park, if Arsenal have to play at St James's Park, they are in trouble. I can tell you that straight away. Arsenal will be in a lot of trouble at St James's Park. So it's our job tomorrow to get it done. Let me know your score predictions down below. I don't know what I think yet, and I don't want to kind of almost jump the gun a little bit. It will be hard tomorrow. We can't deny that, but I would much rather these in Liverpool over 2 legs. I think we can do Arsenal over 2 legs. I think it's possible. I think it's probably would argue it is realistic. I think Newcastle can do it. We just got to go out on the pitch and show. The best of luck tomorrow, boys. It is massive. I would love nothing more than to be back here in a couple of months' time. But huge game for Newcastle. They've got to go out there and they've got to look good against Arsenal, and they've got to get a good result out of the first leg.